And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How is everyone? I just want to get started reasonably quickly tonight, I think. Let's have a look at some results. Okay, so we finally have, up until recently, we had a bit of a deadlock on the straw poll that I put up. It now looks like tonight, 50% of the vote now goes to parsing messages. So, tonight's stream, we're going to try and have a look at Boost Spirit and how to parse messages from. I can do English. We're going to try and parse the messages that we get back. Just to give you some idea of what I mean by this, if we go across to the code now and have a quick look, you'll see that we have a regex here that I think is quite unpleasant. So what I'm aiming to do tonight is learn a little bit about this Boost Spirit and try and get rid of this regex. So essentially try and get it, and I do apologise, there are dogs barking and all sorts locally. I've got rid of some of the sound baffling, so there's now echoing again in here. Essentially I just wanted to be a little bit more comfortable and to be able to slide back a little as well. So, yeah. Stream quality might have taken a little hit there, but do you know what? It's a bit tough luck, I'm afraid. So remember how we had this message. Now, this is already a lie of a comment, because what we now actually get is not that, but we get, key value pairs. So key equals value, key equals value, whatever. And I believe it all starts with an at. So that's actually the message we now get, is something equivalent to that, which is a little bit, long and complicated. So let's have a crack at parsing some of this out. Alright, so I'm going to be using a library called Boost. Again, for anyone that was here last time, Boost seems to be a very, very well used C++ library, and Boost Spirit was something that I saw, and if I remember, went ooh quite a lot when I saw bits about this. And we can write parsers. So, okay, we've actually got sort of more of a tutorial-y thing up here than we had last time, instead of just the docs. So let's have a look at the docs first and see if we can get it from that. So boost.spirit home. By the way, anyone who's on Twitter, the Go Live tweet's gone out, so please tweet it. And also, let's have another look to see if this straw poll's done any changing. No, so I think we'll close that poll now. And we are definitely going to go with the Boost Spirit idea. So boost.spirit, this is not the instructions I particularly wanted either. So, where's the API? Doc. Okay, this might be useful. Latest Spirit 2.5.1, is that what we're running at the moment? .libs, I don't think we're in Boost 1.48, I think we're in something like 1.7. Let me just go into, 1.70. Okay. Chuck a 7.0 there and see what we get. So this should now be the version of Spirit that we've got, the version of Boost Spirit and whatever. Can anyone who's in chat, can you hear? Let me go to Stream Deck, because I keep forgetting to set the Twitch account up properly as well, or reset it up, should I say, because for some reason it doesn't seem to be working. So please just bear with me. I know what's going on here. Let's go back to face only for a second while I fire up certain things that I don't really want everyone seeing. My vault. Yeah, you see, it's a good job I know how to switch across to here. So let's just chat for a moment while I discreetly try and sort of a quick thing out here. No, that's not right. I'm goofy. Oh, that passed. Really? That's the. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll go with it. Apparently that was right. So we can go back there now. While I do a typing. Yep, you can hear. Hi, Fuel Snable. How are you doing? I guess you're probably one of the people that voted in this direction somehow. Just as an inkling of I might have met you before, we are doing the boost. We are doing the parsing stuff. So, all right, that's just. Do you know what? I'm annoyed enough with parts of this Stream Deck that I'm just not going to use certain bits. Hang on, let me kill an action and bring it back. Yeah, no? Okay. It's not going to behave itself. Hello, I played yesterday. How are you doing? Codebase Alpha, mainly with Stream Deck. To be fair, it's stuff I should sort out off stream. Ah, it's back. It's running fine. That's excellent. Dealt with that issue now. So, we're going to be looking at, like I say, writing a parser using Boost. And let's do a bit of, come on, Control Scroll should work here. That's better. Let's look at writing parsers. There's a tutorial series, so the quick start is why we'd want to use it. I think we've discussed this before. One of the reasons we want to use it is because I went, ooh, parsers, pretty. Good evening, Joko. Yeah, time zones. Time zones. Just for reference, for anyone that's going to mention time zones, youtube.com, John Skeet, time zones. John Skeet did a wonderful video, and in fact, he did a wonderful stream as well with our friend Brendan over at Dev Chatter. And oddly enough, then there's also a video by Tom Scott all about the same thing and the problem with time and time zones, and the fact that, you know, I mean, who would assume that daylight saving time was always an hour in the same direction and was never going to be something like, oh, I don't know, an hour and a half or 2 hours? Nobody would make that assumption, would they? Yeah. Anyway, we have Boost Spirit here. Trivial example, so parsing a floating point number is just that. Parsing two floating point numbers, so we're using the shovel operator here. I don't know exactly what this operator's called. So double composes with double. Okay, they're calling it as a followed by operator. And we have bigger parsers, so this really is function composition. That's handy to know. That's really cool. I was still hosting Honest Dan as far as your browser was concerned, Codebase Alpha. Well, as much as I am a big fan of Honest Dan, I'd much rather when I'm streaming be not hosting him. Unfortunately, I mean, wonderful guy, but when I'm streaming, I want to be hosting me. Might just be my kind of thing. So okay, it's saying that is how we're parsing two numbers. Saying for 0 or more floating point numbers, you stuff the star at the front. F5 fixed it. That's good. So looking at all of this is okay. So it's client closure. So it's 0 or more is denoted by that star. So we've even overloaded what's known as a pointer dereference. So a parser that'll accept a common delimited list of numbers, so it's a double going into any amount of character, commas, and double, and then character, comma, and double every time. Now this is. Does anyone remember? I don't know if I did much of this on stream, but I've played about with fparsec, writing your own parser in F#. I'm sure I've shown parser combinator libraries with F# for fun and profit. I'm pretty convinced that if we go in here and we have a look at understanding parser combinators, there's a talk and a blog post, well, a set of blog posts here, which will look reasonably familiar about, having parsers and composing parsers. So I will stick this in the chat, probably be there before you hear me say that. But this looks like it's very much the same idea, just in C++, which pleases me. As Fuel Snable points out, there's lots of operator overload in here to get something that looks like EBNF, extended Bacchus Noah form, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So we are building larger parsers out of smaller ones. This really does feel very much like functional style programming in C++, which, as I think most people around these parts will know, is rather pleasing to me. So you use parse phrase function and one overload. So this is once you've built your parser, you parse it using an iterator pointing to the start of the input, an iterator pointing to one past the end of the input. So string begin, string end, I would imagine. The parser object and another parser called the skip parser. So if we're skipping something, anything that recognizes white space, they're using space. So what they're going is comma delimited set of numbers, start and end, and space as the skip parser. Okay, this looks interesting. Using QI double and QI phrase parse. Oh, so okay, this is handy. In C++, you can essentially do using the way that you can do it in Java. So what we're saying is, let's just try this, something for now. So if I say in here, to see if this compiles. This, by the way, bad code. I'll own up to that now, but it's just something for me to play with. Is if I say using standard map, does that now mean that that standard map just becomes map? What can you... Okay. Oh, you can import functions the same way. So not only can we go using standard map, but can we essentially go using standard map? Can we import functions? So we're actually doing something even more than you can do in Java. Oh yeah, of course, parse phrase is a function. Yeah, no. Fuel Snables, yeah, I didn't quite read how powerful this was. This is even more than I thought. No, Fuel Snable, you got me. You got it right. I was mistaken. Yeah, because you can import just a function, let alone a class. Voodoo 32 using integer equals in. Yeah, you can do things like that. Note these usings are in the scope of a function. That's interesting as well, yeah. So you can do usings with... Oh, can you do that? Can you do that kind of thing in C#? Yeah, because then at this point we can do the... Oh, that's... Yeah, no. I'm liking this because it means that within a parsing function, I can do using whatever bits I want to use. And I presume that those using statements here only live until the end of the scope. So outside of the function, double underscore doesn't refer to QI, double colon, double underscore. Scala can do it though. Yeah. I've played with Scala once or twice now. I have noticed that even when using reasonably simple Scala, the build time seems to be a little longer than I was hoping for, even as someone that was warned about slow builds. So I don't know if I'm messing up my setup. I suppose one day we can look at it on stream, can't we? Anyway, carrying on with QI or with Chi in Spirit. This is returning true or false, yada yada yada. We can find the full CPP file here. So, can we... Oh, add macros and make it even slower. Oh, don't. No. So let's go to this sample. So this sample works with parse numbers there and the comma separating lists of numbers. So I suspect that we can just use spaces anywhere, which is something I don't want to do. So a skip parser, I don't want to parse a skip parser because this stuff has to be well formatted. So, would it be worth, instead of trying to fit this straight into the bot, doing some... Well, we could even test drive this. Let's play with tests as well. Now, there's a library called Catch2. I don't know if this is the best one. I don't know if this is the best C++ testing library. I just know that this exists. So, shall we have a play at testing at building our parser using tests and using tests as a way to explore the build of a parser? Or shall we just try and do it another way? Boost also has tests built in. Cool, that's one fewer dependency. Boost tests. I know this is a slightly old one, but hey, I can always do a bit of URL hacking and make that the current one. Also, boost test, Visual Studio. I wonder if VS supports boost test adapter. Hello. Let's play. No, all too old. It's too old. Oh, boost.test by support, by definition. While we're reading docs, shall I do a quick install of something then? Installer, boost.test. Oh, that's cool. It seems to be here. Huh? Play with this, can't we? Parser test.cpp. So, let's ask the question then. If I go into the Test Explorer, which can go, do you know what, for now, it can go under the Solution Explorer. Can I do a build in here and actually get them? Good evening, Turbo Nautilus. Just to let you know, in fact, now that we've done everything, let me just update the description. Looks like we're playing with parsing and probably tests. Oh, let's at least now make the title of the stream more realistic, more accurate. So if I go run all, I've got nothing. Errors. Hello. Main already defined in main.obj. And one or more multiply defined symbols found. So does boost auto test case define main? Am I not allowed a main here as well? Let's get rid of the warnings for now. Expands to a struct, gets all the invokes and what have you. Gets. Can we actually have a look at what that expands to properly? As in, can I? Is there a way of seeing this? Or do I actually do this? Do I add a new... Do I have to... Oh, are we now playing with compilation units to make this work? Um, boost test.
Rank up. Hold the line. This hamlet shall not fall.
Thank you very much there, Toading, for the raid. I will let you all come in first, and then we will start. I'll start doing a talking. So boost tests in current project. Hello there, I good Doug. How to use boost.test for VS. Cool. Right, so for those who don't know me, I'm Gareth Hubble. Normally work in F#. You will either see me working in something pretty damn high level like F#, or in something reasonably low level like C++, much in the same way that you will with Toading, with Haskell, and with C, and I've seen him work with OCaml as well. For those who don't know F#, if you've seen OCaml on Toading's stream or worked with it yourself, you'll get the hang of F# incredibly quickly. For tonight, we're doing a Twitch bot in C++, which I know Toading's is going to be in Haskell. Pretty much, I'm just learning C++. So, any questions you have, please ask them. We've got some wonderful people in the chat, a fantastic community. If you've already watched Toading and you need to leave, that is absolutely fine. Otherwise, if you choose to stay and follow, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. Voodoo 32, last day of sub. No! There's a renew button if you want it. If you want to use a renewal button, there is one available. And for those in here who don't know Toading, please go and check him out. Unlike in this stream, Toading's language is a little bit more colourful, let's say. There is some swearing involved. However, nothing I would say is particularly offensive. It's just, standard developer swearing. And he's a very inclusive streamer, wonderful kind of person to be around, and drinks tea. That is the kind of thing that you need to know. He is a man who drinks tea. He is a good streamer. We will go with that. At the moment, I'm trying to look at unit testing using C++, and we're going to be using Boost. I installed it manually rather than using VC Package, because I didn't know VC Package existed. So we add... one will create a test project. Oh, well, that's interesting. So... Well, that's kind of handy, actually. So we can add boost tests. The next question I want to ask is, can we add a boost test within within the same project? I'm not thinking that we can, so I think we're going to have to start splitting out and using different compilation units. That's a bit of a pity, but let's experiment with this. Let's suggest that we probably can't, and that what we're going to have to do now is kill that. Hopefully that killed the way I was trying to make it kill. Let me open in File Explorer. No, it didn't. Let's actually kill that completely. Let's now create a new couple of projects in here. We're now going to be doing the classic style sort of... Oh, nothing there. C++. How do we turn this into a boost test project? I would suggest that what we probably do is just create a test project this way. New project, install templates, Visual C++ test. So we can create a test project. Is that what we do? Yes, a native unit test project here. Excellent. That's the native CPP unit test framework. That's the Google test one. I would much really rather have... Steimstream, please tell me you refer to where you are as the Coding Conservatory. It is my office. It is a case of step into my office. Let's have a look. Desktop development, C++. Test adapter for boost test. Okay, so it looks like we're not going to just be using a Okay. I mean, do we want to use it? I'd rather not have to use Google Test if we're already using Boost for other things. I think we might as well just go and use that, hadn't we? So, can we write unit tests, use boost.test? So we create. Hang on, how are they trying to do this then? So we can create. We can add a CPP file, but we're saying that we need to create a project now, aren't we? It's just a state console application, of course. Yeah. Console app. Parse test. Let's call it what we. Let's use my usual convention. So it's that dot test. Oh no, back was not the right button, was it? Forward and OK would have been though. So we've got a normal test project. Let's add ourselves a new item. Let's go for a boost test. Boost.test, parse a test. And it can't open that. Let's not use the VC package command because we've already got it installed. Although we could now move to the VC package idea. Let's do that. There's the VC package manager. How do we install this? Clone, run the bootstrapper. Can I just copy a command and then go into something like the package manager console? Because the package manager console is just a PowerShell console, isn't it? We don't have VC package in here. Go on, let's give this a go. Let's copy that. So let's have a look at what you do. You go git clone it, cd it. Yeah, okay. So let's clone that. Oh, we haven't got a. Oh no, it's working. It's having it. So cdvc package. Bootstrap it. So it's doing the build, it's doing the precompile headers stuff. Cool. Oh, so there's now ports, SDL stuff involved as well. Interesting. And then we're not going to go for user-wide integration and all of that. We'll just go back to the root of the repo, copy that to the clipboard. Let's wait for this to do a build. And we'll install boost test, and it's saying no, so that's probably because we need a dot backslash at the front of it. Okay, let me think about this. Let me see if I can find where this is going to be. Let's open this up in open the file location, VC package, vcpackage.exe. So it's installed there. Okay. Let's go in there. Let's then copy that back to the clipboard again, and Control Z. I'm trying to install it, and it's saying no there, but we know we're in the right place now. So finally, it's not moaning too badly. Is it going to install the way that I want it to install? This doesn't look good to me at all. This looks really, really bad. In that we've now got a VC package installed within our own repo. That's probably not what we wanted to do, is it? No. So what we actually want to do is move that out of the repo. Because we really don't want to be passing a package manager around the place. Let's let this install first. And then I shall be mean and start moving things around. Do you know, it would have been easier just to have updated my include directory. I'm trying to be nice to people. Well, I'm trying to be reasonable and go, look, here's one you can just download and build, and this is just becoming a pain. Hello there, Ground M4X. How are you doing? Please do feel free to chat again. I'm never averse to questions. Never ever averse to them. That's bootstrapping now. What's it doing? It's doing more things. Why is this taking so long? I mean, like, really, how does this get to take this amount of time? This is ridiculous. Yeah, I think it's probably supposed to mean Ground Max as well. If Ground M4X or Ground Max wishes it to be pronounced in a certain way, please do tell me. And I'll try and remember to get it right. Oh, wow, hang on. I need to remove this. You just hack it together and then later make sure it downloads dependencies for your Snable. Do you know what? I'm completely with you. Had I known that that was going to be an issue here, I'd have, in fact... No. That can stop now. That can stop and give up. That VC package thing can go away. And what we're going to do is go into there. There will be some directory somewhere. Let's suggest that there's going to be something in debug there. And we'll just throw that into properties. Let's see if we can do it all configs, all platforms. Yes, we can actually. That's good. I can just do that. Oh look, we now have Boost enabled, Boost online. Let's go back to the debug builds as well. Oh look, Boost now works. Run all tests. Let's see if it builds and runs. So yeah, we're not going to prat about with VC packages. Wow, I've got a lot of... main is already defined. What's this moaning about? Because I know I've got a main in here. Clean the solution and rebuild it. Why am I using Mozilla Firefox? Ground Max, because to be honest, it seems to work better for me than Chrome. It's literally down to that. I know that probably sounds weird, but yeah, I moved from Chrome to Firefox, and I'm quite happy about that. So the rebuild all has succeeded without this. So what's going on here? Why is this not working?
Our community grows.
Thank you very much for that follow, FP Jester. What's this file? Oh, this is a main file as well, which is reasonable. Set that as startup project. Can I not have two programs within the same solution? Or, so it's built as an exe file, add a separate test project, link it to the output object file. Which I have, well, I'm not even linking at the moment to anything. Why not both Chrome and Firefox? Ah, okay. Some people do. I have Chrome on here, I've just defaulted to Firefox. I think we're now at the point where really trying to... do you know what? I'm going to kill this whole test idea for now. I'll look at setting testing up at another time. Hang on. That can die. That can go like that. Let's delete this the hard, fast way. Hey, actually delete, please. Oh yeah, because for some reason it already has and hasn't updated, because Microsoft Windows Explorer, ladies and gentlemen, is wonderful. Opera's become your... Yeah, I knew that project wouldn't load properly, and we will make that not load. We will tell the solution that it isn't even there anymore. So let's do this instead. Let's add a... Let's go... GrowMax? To be fair, I think trying to argue about browsers is a little on the silly side now. I'm happy for the discussion, but I can see this about to devolve into an argument, which is something that we won't be allowing. So, okay, why is it that when I buy a bulb that's supposed to be 100-watt equivalent, it actually comes out as about that and becomes overpowered for what we want? I mean, wow, no, that's... I'm going to end up sticky taping some paper in front of it. Let me just see what happens if I do stick a sheet of paper in front of that light. Apart from the fact that it's now on camera, that's not a bad idea actually. Let's try and bounce it for now off like that. That's better. Now I'm not in like some stupid setup. It looks a little bit more normal-ish. Let's add a file. Let's add a CPP file that is parser. Hi Rob, how are you doing? Let's not make the Stoke jokes, Rob, because we could have a bit too much fun there, couldn't we? Let's not make the Stoke jokes. So, what are we wanting? We're wanting a parser, and we're wanting to try and start parsing a few things. So let's come out to the test setups. Let's go and have a look back here at, well, this is all parse numbers. So where's the include? Actually, if I'd have gone back to where we were, we could have found them, couldn't we? Yeah, thank you, Rob. So I want to include, oh, there's a warning disable HPP file. Hang on, I need to see what happens here. So we'll have that, and in here, fuel snowball. Did you really have to do that one? Now let's rebuild now that we've got warnings enabled. What does this warning disable header file actually do? Some overly pedantic warning emitted by certain compilers. Okay. So, it's only Microsoft and the Intel compilers that are apparently moaning. Let's take out that warning disable, because hey, I'll let the warnings live for now. So parse IRC message. Oh no, FPGS. Okay, let's keep this a little bit more classy, please. So we can also give namespaces here as well. Yeah, no worries. Just a little. Assume that we've got kids in here. I don't know if we have or not, but assume that we are teaching to all ages. think that's the reasonable way of going. So let's using. Do you know what? I want to see what's in here now. What's boost spirit ASCII as well? There's QI. So there's char parsers. Is there a string one, do we think? It's not a string underscore though, is it? Let's carry on reading. Hi Joe Cal. So we can do parsers for characters. So the parser expression has a single character, and yeah, there's overloading. Okay, that's kind of handy. No, Stoke jokes is fine, Fuel Snable. I don't particularly like jokes around illnesses. It's just something that personally I'm not a fan of. Especially knowing people who've had strokes and knowing the struggles that they've lived with since. It's a big thing. I've just realised that you can't see a lot of what's on my browser because I'm covering it with chat. Because I'm not being a clever individual today. That's probably a little bit better, isn't it? Rob, I need all the coffees, mate. All the coffees. I've currently got like a good one on the go now. So parser has semantic actions, so we can store what we've parsed. And the semantic actions can be attached at any point, and they are functions or function objects. So, say you have a parser P and a C++ function F, you make the parse call F wherever it matches an input by attaching F. Ah! So, the indexing operator. That's kind of cool. And we can get all sorts of things. So we can use plain function pointers, simple function object, boost bind, and boost lambda. We're not going to be using boost lambda. I really could not be bothered to try and use that. So what are we saying? There's a plain function, which can be parsed, a member function, a function object, which is a struct with that. Okay, that's a function object. I didn't even know about function objects. Rob, what's boost lambda? Boost lambda is... We'll have a quick look at it. It was a way of using lambda functions in C++ before they were in there. And to some degree, very, very clever in how it was done. But it was also very weird. In that it used its own placeholders. And it was... Yeah. It was just odd. I've never used them because I got into C++ once actual lambdas existed. And normal lambdas work. Do you know what? We're going to try and use a normal lambda. I think we need to try it. You know it's clever when Jacko Javi is the author, whose name I've probably butchered. I don't know who that is, I'm afraid. Use boost bind to bind functions. Use boost lambda. We can use simple function object. Hi there, MJNR. How are you doing? On the grounds that you can do that, I don't see why a lambda wouldn't work. Do you know what? Let's see if it compiles with a lambda involved. So let's go parse message begin message end using QI. Well, I can say things, I just can't type particularly well. QI parse. And using QI int. And now that print action, let's just replace that with something that goes. Stirred cout value stirred end line. And do we then have to... Okay, so this is moaning, and this is suggesting that two consecutive left square brackets can only introduce an attribute list. So, can we not put a lambda within that? Or have I got white spacing wrong? So we might not actually be able to do that necessarily, a lambda literal, that's fine. Print int there, and let's
Rank
do...
up. Hold the line. This hamlet shall not fall.
Thank you very much for that, host and raid the Michael Jolly. Oh, hello, here come the raiders. Here come the raiders, the ancient coder. Clarkio, how are you doing? I'm going to mildly try and defend this in some... Oh, I can't get to me emotes easily. I'm going to say hi to everyone with the Lucy dog. And yes, that dog's name is Lucy, and yes, it is short for Lucifer. All your Kodar belong to us? No, 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 no. All my Kodar belong to me. Hello, Rambling Geek. I still need your emotes. Oh, nice flames, ancient guy. Hang on, who's the flames? The flames are... I don't know who the flames are, but I recognise that Jeff Fritz paperclip. C-sharp's clippy. Let me just... Before I chat to everyone too much... Okay, they're Twitch Globals, are they? Hello, Moiku, how are you doing? If you remember right, Jacko Jarvie was one of the inventors of enable if. One of the shortest and most brilliant pieces of C++ code ever written. Well, I now have to look at that. Don't forget the number Johnny 5's awesome emotes, Rob's saying. Is that Ramby for Johnny? Oh. I'm just sticking with things. You've been learning about IoT hardware with Brandon Sage from the Michael Jolly. How are you doing? I haven't done much with IoT yet. And I suppose now that I'm into learning C++, that might not be a bad place to go, is have a look at some embedded. So what is enable if? So, right, to use this... Yeah, standard enable if these days. Weekends are for hardware, says Robert Tables. Yeah, I can go with that, actually. So, enable if that is nothing fun. So what we're saying, are we suggesting that that is if something is not, that's the function, otherwise that? I don't know what this is. I don't know this at all. It's in translation units. Oh, hang on, we have an example. So that's enabled via the return type. Okay, this just looks complicated to me. Is this sort of a way of saying... Hang on. Is this kind of like in generics, adding, in something like C# generics, adding adding conditions? So like, I don't know, something of T where T is class type or where T is whatever, but it's actually got more conditions on it than that, potentially. It was really fun. You focused pretty much on Raspberry Pis, but he's introduced you all to all the cool particle hardware and Onion and Coral boards. I've never heard of those, the Michael Jolly. I will have to have a look at those. You've got to go and medicate the wife, Rob. Go and be a good husband, mate. Go and be a good husband. By the way, most people probably don't know, Rob is my best enemy in real life, let's put it that way. Some people might mistake this for friendship. It isn't. We genuinely hate each other in the most friendly manner possible. And we are, of course, the best of enemies. They don't overload as you might think. Okay. We are kind of off topic here and looking at something that in theory looks like C++ but with a lot of angle brackets. Think Sonic and Eggman, I'm Eggman. Excuse me, Rob, but you know I played the Western version of those games first, which means I know full well that I call him Dr. Robotnik even though his original name was Eggman in Japan. And I accept that. But it's still Robotnik as far as I'm concerned, and it always will be. Even though I'm wrong. Back here, so we've agreed that we can use lambdas. We can attach a plain function. Would it be worth? I mean, can we pass it the address of that function? Would that still work? The address of the lambda? It builds, I think. Or it hasn't moaned at me yet. I'm gonna get rid of the Test Explorer as well for now. We don't seem to use it. See you later, Rob. And it's just said no to me. Okay, so where's the... Oh, it's all deep in here. Okay, let's try and do it without and have another go at building this. Because it'd be nice if we could do this with lambdas. It'd be quite lovely. And we can. Oh no, hang on, rebuild all when we started. And parse IRC message must return a value. Yes, of course it must. Return... Well... That'd be roughly right, wouldn't it? Let's have a rebuild. So, what this parser will do... Let's make sure that this works. Yeah, in theory, this parser would go... Expect open curly, then expect an integer, and with that integer, call printint, and then expect a closing bracket. So this being said, we could always do a parse key, couldn't we? So at the moment, we've got keys, and this might be the way to do this for now. Let's go back to main. And we get the whole attributes for, and this is how we split the key value pairs up. So let's make a bit of an aim to try and get rid of this attributes for out of here. Let's use it in the parser. So we do need a parser.h file. So that'll be a header file called parser.h. And that will have a... Well, let's go back to our parser itself. Now that we've... where are we here? Let's go there. Let's cut that completely out. Let's stick it actually there. Let's not have that. Got the main there. We've now ripped that out of the main. Parser.h is going to do this. It's going to have this in here. Fuel stable, it's a good idea to hide the boost spirit includes inside a compilation unit. They can add compilation to the whole project if you add them in a header file. So, my next question is how? Because I I understood most of those words, but it seems that I don't really understand compilation unit, especially with Visual Studio being involved. Of course, now we need to move this definition of the user attributes as well. The user attribute type is there. Standard has no map, let's include maps. Standard has no string, let's include strings. And at this point, yeah, no worries, MJNR. I'm completely with you on the great to see in different languages. Again, from me, no offence with something like F sharp, but sometimes it's just nice to see something different. So I don't know if we're going to sort of stay on F sharp as the main stuff, or if I am going to become more of a variety streamer. To make the joke, I am at the moment a variety of streamer. I've been streaming a variety of F sharp things. No, MJNR. No. We're not going to go down the Fortran route. That's not going to happen. So, okay, that now says we need to include main.cpp. Well, that's wrong. It's completely wrong, actually. So let's try and do a rebuild. Yeah, Robert Tables, I completely agree with you. Just Fortran's not something that I want to look into. So now that we've rebuilt and it's told me to go away, which is completely correct. Alright, that include is still wrong, so let me just do it manually. Include parser.h. Clears that all out. That now says that we need to include boost algorithm, don't we? Where was that? There. Parser.cpp again needs to be the one to include that. And then this needs to include parser.h. So something I need to look into is what a compilation unit is. But in theory, what we've just done is split the parser out into its own file. Running this, so let's fire up the bot and make sure that after monkeying about, the bot still works. So the build started. This build is now taking time. Hubblebot is online, and if I ask for a random number, I get a random number and I get a 4. Please note, please don't use this as a way of rolling random numbers, because we can't prove that that's actually random. I mean, I get a 4 again. I mean, it was chosen by a fair dice roll. It is the randomest of random numbers, apparently. So, let's... I'm going to have a break in a couple of minutes, I think. In which case, Fuel Sable, how do I include it? How do I bring back the precompiled headers? Because now that we've got an increased build time, I'm happy to bring it back. While we hadn't, I didn't see a huge point to it. Now that we do need it, potentially, I want to play with it. So can I bring back precompiled headers? So, precompiled header files. Precompiled header option. Kate, in here. Let me quickly... I'm going to quickly have a go at it and see. Precompiled headers, precompiled header. Create. Let's do this build. Let's see what happens now that we've said create. include statement specified with the was not found in the source file. stdafx.h. stdafx.h. Okay, let's add these includes to each of the source files. There and there. And then let's do a rebuild. Yeah, it can't open the include. Okay, yeah, what I think we'll do is I will take this break in a moment. Let's just get this back building. Not using at the moment is more like it. Usually on top. I'm going to take the break. I'm going to have a couple of minutes. Probably make myself another coffee because this coffee mug is looking decidedly sad. And decidedly more sad now. So everybody, get yourselves a drink the same as I'm doing, please. Take care of whatever needs you have. Going to the bathroom or whatever. And then when we get back, I'm going to try and look at how to add the precompiled headers back in, see what effect, if any, it has on the compilation times. I'm hoping it has quite an effect. Yeah, exactly as Robert Table says. Hydrate, dehydrate, stretch and refresh the mind. So I will be back in a couple of minutes. Hi all, I'm back and I have coffee. So that can only mean one thing. We're ready to work. So Fuel Snable has just put in chat some instructions for me to follow to make things work again for precompiled headers. So let's add a couple of items. We want pch.h, hpp, sorry. We're going to also add pch.cpp. And then set the project file. Okay, and then we go into our project. Well, PCH works for me. So we set it up to create pch.cpp. Hang on. .hpp there for the header file, and then cpp goes include that. In project use pch. Okay, so we don't create it, we use the pch. Fair play. And then if I do a build and rebuild, it moans at me. Hang on. So that goes properties create. And then we add, yeah, pch.hpp to all the files. So adding this. Does it need to be added to the CPP files, the H files, or both? Because I get the idea it shouldn't have to be added there if it's added there. Am I anywhere near right? So, and then move all the system include files to the HPP file. So, those you add to the CPP, so not to the H, potentially. And then that lot needs to go there. And seems we've got more boosty stuff in here, have we? No, but we might as well just do this, you know. They're all the system include files, yeah? So, in theory, I think this is, I'm hoping that this then says what we've got. So, windows.h we've already got. WS string we've already got. Vector we've already got. IO stream we've already got there. So that should be it in theory. Try rebuild. Expected identifiers left, right and centre. Is it to do with that again, do we think? Let's try another rebuild. For now, let's take those out of the HPP, out of the precompiled headers. And then try a rebuild with just those lot in. Remove them from PCH to start. Okay, it's still moaning about stdafx. And that's because that's still claiming to be stdafx, is it? Not pch.hpp. Okay, that changes things. I should work better. Build, rebuild that. And it succeeded. That one took a while, which I expect. And I think this is the right order here. So if we throw this lot into the file in this order, that might help. So build, rebuild again. And then if you rebuild, you'll rebuild the cache, apparently. But we've now built the cache. So, do we need this pch.cpp file at all? This doesn't look particularly needed to me. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to get rid of that for now. And it's just told me now. And I guess that's exactly why. Let's re-add that file then. Okay, running that. And I might have to now do a full build, mightn't I? A full rebuild. Cannot open precompiled header file, no such file or directory. This was because this needs to do the building of the header, doesn't it? Yes, of course. Yeah. I, I think you might be on a delay there for yourself. I've just done it just as it came in. I also have cola. Once I got it to work, okay, so run that. Let's kill it. Let's make a small change to the parser. Which for now, let's just say no. Don't actually know what change I fancy making here. Really, just a new line? Is that really enough? Then fire that up, and yeah, that's quicker. That's helping. Okay, that helps. Let's kill the window as well. There we go. So yeah, that's helping, I think. Based off that, let's have a look at what we're doing. So we're getting an attribute list, which is key equals value split. Yeah. So right now, let's. Good evening, Cody Beard. How are you doing? So let's try and grab a new version of this. Let's say we still want to grab the result. So we want a result, but now we're going to use the parser. So let's build a parser that works with strings. So it's mentioning semantic actions here. Can we parse out strings? There's complex parsers for doubles. I essentially just want to parse. Yeah, it's still doing numbers. I don't want number parsing. I want text parsing now. Right, they're talking Roman numerals. Old-timey Windows devs still define Win32 lean and mean before Windows.h. I like the name. Parsing into struct. Aha, hello. So we're parsing creating a structure representing an employee. That's fine. You then need to tell Boost.Fusion. I'm not convinced I'm that bothered about fusions. So quoted string is a thing. Do we? Can we? Oh, Lexime. Lexime. Oh, so you can subtract characters. Okay, so let's think about this for a minute. So a quoted string looks like this. And of course, I'm going to do all these usings and then just delete the ones we're not using out of this. What is quoted string? Quoted string is parsed. What is percent equals in terms of spirit? Where have I gone kind of wrong here? Let's have a look at what we're on about. Plus the sequence attribute collapsing. So they're dealing with val equals so the percent thing is how we grab the action out. Okay. So using ASCII car, so we need is this in boost spirit? Yep, that's there. So what do we not need? Lit? I don't even know what that is. An int. We're not using either of those at the moment, or double. We're still just going into strings. So let's see what auto now let's go back to where is quoted string actually defined in this example. And where is start defined? Let's have a look at the C++ file. Employee parser, quoted string, copy. Find it, there, and there. So quoted string is a parser that we're creating, which is a QI rule. That takes iterators. Well, what is an iterator in our world? I suspect an iterator is a stud iterator. No, stud doesn't have one. So what are they claiming iterator to be? It's that type. So string, unused type, and space type. So that's how to make a quoted string. We don't want a quoted string. What we actually want is a... Maybe we ought to go through a tutorial a little bit slower and see what's actually going on, because this looks a bit tricky. They're saying parsing into structs. I don't want to parse into structs. I just want to pull strings out of the parser. String parsers. Let's not do this. Let's be simpler. Let's go, well, we're going to look at anything that's not an equals, then an equals, then a not a semicolon, then a, well, that is one key value pair. And that's got to be something that takes something. I would say that we go auto KVP parser equals that. And KVP parser is a boosty thing. And then that's got to have something attached to it, hasn't it? Key value. Need to capture the key and the value. Yeah. So key value capture there, which is going to be a lambda. Yeah, you could capture each one separately. Let's have a look and see if it's easier to not, though. Because essentially I need to use them both. And I'm just wondering if that will... yeah, no, that's capturing the wrong way. No, I think you're right, actually, here, Fuel Snable. Let's do that. Let's do... So that's going to be value capture.
Our community grows.
Thank you very much for that follow, WTF Blup. So, auto key capture. Stirred string key. And just for now, key stirred and line. And of course, I need to remember that we're using snake case here. And I would suggest that value capture should be something similar. Let's just make sure that we get the captures. So that's the key, that's the value capture. We're building the parser. And now what we ought to do is, well, we'll return return results, don't we? So at the moment, that's going to be empty. We don't care. What we're more interested in is whether this parser will work at some point. So now that we've got a parser, we need to parse, which is, obviously, again, we need to pull that in using that. Parse then takes a first, a last, and an expression. So it can take at a list. Well, actually, for now, let's say foo equals bar. So for now, let's just try and parse one thing. So to parse start, not start with, dot begin. To parse dot end and kvp parser. Okay, let's have a look and see what we get. So, well, we don't get anything there. No matching overloaded function found. So what does that... Hang on. I think this has to work... I think this is probably going to work with C strings. Is this going to work with C strings? Does this go and do that? No. So lit is literal. That we get. The string parser is an implicit lexeme. So we can create string parsers from strings, that's fine. I'm more interested in character parsers then, aren't I? Matches any character. Which is fine. So we can do characters like that. But we need to do the plus thing as well, don't we? So parser operators plus. Oh, it's a vector. Hang on, does this then mean that it's a vector of car? Which then obviously means that key and val won't. We won't be able to see out them like that. Yeah, Fuel Snable, the const reference stuff, I'm not too bothered about yet. I'm more bothered that a vector, I can't. A vector of characters, how do I convert that to a string? I mean, you can do You can do all of that. That's fine. It's how do I convert that into a string? Convert vector. Stud string. Is that the answer? Stud string. Key dot begin. Key dot end. And then the same for value and value there. Okay, let's see if that works. Let's see if we are looking at a vector of car. Well, that's opened up. Hubblebot's now online. I'm going to ask it for a random number, which we get, and the key and the val come out. Okay, so we've at least got parsers that work. That's what that tells me. So that parser works just for that key value pair. So a single key value pair we can do. So auto at a parser would equal something like a KVP parser. Shove through any amount of semicolon plus shove through KVP parser. At that point, we'll use the attr parser, and bar equals baz there. Refiring up the bot, and I shall once again ask it for a random number once it starts running properly, as it has. Random. And we've got key foo valbar, key bar valbaz. Also, you think I can get away with auto key? Do I need to do const auto borrow? Const auto reference? Sorry, I'm still thinking in Rust terms. Or does just the auto itself do the realise that I want a const reference? ICQ rewrite in Rust. Not at the moment. I'm doing this to learn C++. I've got other things in mind to help me learn a bit more Rust. And to be honest, C++ is not proving as difficult as I thought it would. So Rust is less and less needed in my life. But in essence now, we've got the parser to the point where I can now suggest that instead of trying to parse that, we'll parse the actual atta list. Which is cool. So if I fire this up and I ask for a random number, it's now coming out with all of my attributes. So badge info subscriber 7, badges broadcaster subscriber subgifter, colour, display name, emotes, and then it kind of gave up. So it got to emotes and then it didn't bother carrying on. That's interesting. Wonder if there's any special sort of reason that might be. 133 columns in. Oh, well that's an interesting crash. So those attributes are there. So it's only really emotes for 40, whatever. Key flags. So it doesn't seem to like doing much more than a few characters. Let's see if we can at least get it to fire back up again. 123 characters in. Ah! I know where I've gone wrong then. The values can be empty, so they actually need to be stars. That needs to be a star in that parser. Just in case there's something empty. And auto double ampersand. Now, I remember hearing that double ampersand was a thing. And I've put the double ampersand in the wrong place, I suspect. What is double ampersand when used here? It picks the right variant depending on what the caller does. Auto double ampersand key, yeah. So what does auto double ampersand do? What does auto double ampersand tell us? It means R value reference. Or forwarding reference, I think someone's saying. Yeah. So what is an R value? What is an R value actually? That's an interesting question. C++, R value, L value. So L value required is left out. So is an R value something that can only go on the right of an assignment? Let me get this right. is an R value something you can only put on the right of an assignment? An L value is something you can put on the left of an assignment. So if it's an R value, you can't assign to it, so it's read-only. It just works is not necessarily what I want to hear, Fuel Snavel. I like details. I like the details. I like to know what's going on. So an L value is a locator value, which has an address. Okay. And an R value is an expression that does not represent an object occupying some identifiable location in memory. Okay, that's fair. So var is an L value because it is a location in memory, whereas var plus 1 is not a location in memory. Yeah, so an L value has a name and is potentially shared with other parts of the code. Okay, that makes sense. I get that. So you can have an L value... so initially in C I would have been right, but then an L value, you can have a modifiable L value and a not modifiable L value. Okay. I think I get it. Yeah, I think I get that. So we kill the bot. Now we're at an interesting point because these are being fired kind of randomly. What we don't have is a simple way of going, well, in this parser, we are just firing, we just want the... we just want the key and the value for this particular thing. So we need to find a way in here of either temporarily storing our key until the value's next used. I mean, let's do the naive thing first. Let's suggest that we have a std string of key. We have a std string of value. We pass the key in to this capture group and say, well, do this, key equals that. Oh, you can take the address of an L value, you can't take the address of an R value. Is a simplish way of doing things. Okay, so that's how we set key. And that's gone in this way. So if we now go results and a ref and key. Now I can never remember with capture groups whether we're capturing by value or by reference by default. But again, the very, very sort of dumb implementation of this would then be to go results key equals that value. You expected a semicolon, of course you did. Passes by value by default, so what we need to do is pass those by reference. We're going to pass the key into that by value because we never actually modified. In this instance, we are modifying the results, so we do need the reference to it, and we are modifying key. Actually, that value can disappear because we don't need it. So we're grabbing a key and then we're setting it to a value. This feels not nice, but it also feels like it's probably the smart solution for now. And I don't know why Visual Studio does not highlight I don't know why Visual Studio doesn't indent things in a reasonable manner. I know why that is. That's not Visual Studio at all. That was me not putting brackets in where they belong. So we're keeping state between these. I'm not a fan of them. What's called by R value in C++11 is that before C++11, if A, B, C, and D were strings, A plus B plus C plus D allocated unnecessary copies and was slow. But doesn't plus take two R values? Because otherwise 1 plus 1 wouldn't work, because 1 is got to be an R value. Because I can't get an address to it. In C++11, it allocates a single string and appends. Oh, okay. So, actually, concatenating strings in that manner now in C++ is fine. Oh, that's nice, because I'm pretty sure in C# it still isn't. And I'm 99.9% convinced in Java that's not a good thing to do, and that you use a string builder. Don't know if that's been fixed yet. But in theory, we've got a parser now that should work. So Hubblebot's online. I try and use the horn command and it shouldn't let me. It doesn't. Now the point is, we don't have any other mods in chat at the moment. So I can't check for a mod right now. Because my only wonderful mod is offline. But the fact that it hasn't let me use the horn command and will allow me to use random, in theory, shows me that that's going to work. Okay, so we've got some parsing working now. All we've parsed is actually what we had previously. We've only parsed this attribute list. And to some degree, we don't have nicer code for this than we used to have. If my method takes a constref of int, I might get warnings when I'm passing a 1. Yeah, I think I need to look into that more, Fuel Sable, and understand that properly. I've still got an issue here, though, whereby I'm not a fan of us using this method of relying on this being right. I'd much rather call one function with 2 parameters off the back of this. So, can I get a parser that gives out 2 parameters in here? So semantic actions with parsers. So it's the value goes through. We have examples of semantic actions, which is back to here, which is the kind of very simple thing. Hi there, Code and System Security. How are you doing? Boost, Spirit. Semantic actions, multiple. Or is this where we actually have to parse into a struct? Is this where we do this whole boost fusion struct parsing? Yeah, I don't need to understand it to program C++11 that's what's great about it. But yeah, I want to learn it to have the better understanding. I'm not too bad, thank you, Code and System Security. Glad to hear you go. By the way, everyone, let me know, how's your weekend been? How's the end of your week been as well? Let me know. So, okay. Create a struct, tell Boost Fusion about the struct, yeah. Then you can write a parser for your employee and use it. So I suppose we could, in theory, play with this idea of parsing into a struct. I'm not convinced I like it particularly. In fact, I'm pretty convinced that I don't like it. Hmm. This is, yeah. Hmm. So what's going on? Ah, right. Fuel Snable is posting a link to C++ and beyond, Scott Mayer's universal references in C++11. That I will definitely have to have a look at some point. Most definitely, I think. Yes, thank you. So, how to access attributes from semantic actions. The anatomy of semantic actions. I guess this is all going to be a little bit more simple than we want. I'm not even sure if what I want is doable. Multiple statements in a semantic action block. Well, that shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, compile times are never going to be quick using Spirit. That's fine. We get that. Parse that with refs. Boost Phoenix. Ah, now that's kind of interesting. It still does the refs thing though. That's not overly handy. To access attributes from semantic actions. So we can do all sorts of stuff there. Using Boost Phoenix is apparently a good way of doing this. So int double goes to, oh, hello. Predefined out placeholders enable access to the attributes of the sequence elements separately. Those are components. Okay, but that component, how do we now define components? This is interesting. The other video being a Herb Stutter video on atomic weapons. Obviously, atomic in C++. I think that was a bit of a clickable title, let's say. Now this will be interesting then. So what happened? What are these? That's a double. That's double. Do we want to be using the Phoenix stuff then? I don't know. Propagation. Oh, that looks tricky. Parsing width. So parsing width, we've got a whole EBNF thing. Yeah, we know most of this. We know a lot of this kind of thing. There's an EBNF parser in this. Getting a number to be that. Real numbers in this. Okay, but this is still only going inputs. Oh, there's an output as well. Ah, so you can output the... Okay. This looks like it's becoming quite complicated. So, are we all fine with using boost in this way? Change multiple target fields from a semantic action. So, that goes to that, or that goes to that. So, the match types change. Unstud pairs. So there's a question, the anatomy of semantic actions. So again, this is all to do with trying to call something and passing multiple things through. Yeah, I mean, we can use lambdas now. Let's go for an interesting question and ask what happens if we do go for this. So, auto KVP
Our community grows.
Thank you very much for the follow, ZGRMRTS. Could you please tell me how I should pronounce that? If you're in chat and fancy chatting, that would be wonderful, thank you. Let's see what we get here. Stud and all. Pair, we don't know what that is at the moment. It's an auto. No members available. Cool. And that's because we don't have a Scooby what that is at all. Apart from that'll be a vector of something, I suspect. I will learn how to type one day. That would be quite handy, wouldn't it? So, no operator found which takes a right-hand operand of type T. Let's assume that pair, therefore, is a vector of some description. Or just go auto P equals pair and have a look at it in the debugger. Let's do that. So that really should just work, and Hubblebot is online. If people do fancy sticking something in so that we can hit a debugger, failing that, I will stick something in chat and we'll hit the debugger. Okay, as I can't expect everyone to do things kind of immediately, I'll do it anyway. So, what is pair? Pair is a boost fusion vector with 2 elements, badge info, and oh hello, so we have a boost fusion vector at this point of those 2 things. That's handy to know. Does it follow then that if we didn't use these captures, that we get exactly the same thing still? So let's have a go at that. And testing in chat. And pair still comes out as the same thing. Oh, that's handy. So we get a boost fusion vector detail of, oh, we get all sorts of things here. How do we use boost fusion vector detail vector data? Okay, let's see if we can get up to there. Wow. Okay. We can't just grab the address of that lot, can we? It's probably on the stack then. A boost fusion vector data and stuff. Boost fusion vector. I want to know what's going on here. What was the type again? Let me just spin this up again. Ask it for something reasonably random. And let's at least grab out the types. Copy all of that. Throw ourselves into a text editor, and that is a boost fusion vector of standard vector. So it's a vector of vectors, and the vectors are of characters. Okay, that's cool. Codebase Alpha, if you get a Raspberry Pi, should you program it in Python or C++? They are not your only options to program a Raspberry Pi. They are far from your only 2 options. One of your options is indeed C#, believe it or not. Let's go quickly. I'm sure I've posted this in chat before. Hanselman, .NET Core Pi, yes. There is absolutely nothing stopping you using Hanselman's blog, installing NetCore 2, and using System Device GPIO, and using C# on your Raspberry Pi. So that's entirely doable. You want a Raspberry Pi 3, so you want one of the newer ones, and following this. I also know that before this blog post came out, you could use .NET Core in Docker on a Raspberry Pi. But yeah, you can even blink an LED. You have GPIO controllers and things. So, also, don't forget Windows 10 IoT. That runs on a Pi as well. So you can use Windows 10 IoT Core, which runs on things like a Pi, and you can run UWP apps on it, so you can run a GUI instead of running Linux on it. So you've got 2 ways of running .NET and C++, C# on your Pi. You can go down the Windows 10 IoT route, or you can go down the Linux .NET Core route. So there we go. That is indeed cool. But yeah, your options are pretty pretty reasonable. So boost fusion, going back to boost fusions and things. Everyone's doing pies on stream at the moment. Cowboys Alpha, I am not doing pies on stream. I am not doing that. Because that's not for me. So exactly what was this type again? Because I want to start specifying types at some point. This was a boost fusion vector of standard vector of character. Well, hang on, let me just do a thing here. Let's see if sticking this as a what looks like reasonably horrible type works. Because that should at least give me something. Does that necessarily need to... Well, let's run this. And then let's try and cut that type down and get rid of some of the stuff we don't need. So, that runs. So what happens if we don't declare that it's that allocator? So it's a vector which contains... a boost fusion vector which contains two vectors of cars. Because that's something that we can quite easily work with. And that still runs. Excellent, we're getting there. So, can we do this confusion? So, pair now, we can go surely call things on it. So, pair has elements, pair.lm, and this is where it becomes interesting because I can stuff a const here. Pair.lm0. Hang on. You are ambiguous, apparently. Pair dot LM. What is LM then? You are a vector. Ah. So how do we use a boost fusion vector? Let's go back and have a look. Vectors are random access sequence, yada yada yada. So let's have some examples. We're not going to get the examples, are we? Click here to view it for the latest version. Vector, it's not giving examples. Oh, @_c. The nth element from the start of a of the sequence. So @_c 0 of pair. And obviously that's undefined. Can we find a definition for it here? Or is it going to moan at me? So where is @c? Well, let's throw a... Oh. Sequence intrinsic or just include. Let's try this just include one. Now, do I just drop this in here and it magically work? Your Snable's talking shaders again. Just some random shader high. Okay, that's not found anywhere. Okay, something's going wrong. So at underscore C, I'm guessing that, okay, result of is the namespace here. Result of. Does that make any more sense? No, that's not helping at all, is it? Let's go here. So it's a struct at C, result of whatever. Do we have to include both then? Both of these headers? And now it's just all of a sudden decided it's a different header file. Ah, because I'm in a different version of Boost, I think, as well. Okay, that's not moaning anymore. So, oh no, I wasn't right. So, auto key equals that. Let's just try a run and see what it's moaning about. Make sure the whole thing isn't going to go completely to mess. And yes, because I've updated the PCH file, I guess this will take a bit longer. Which is fine. Okay. Result of isn't what we think it is. PCH.hpp. Oh, hello. See, I can't get to anywhere now with control clicking. So, result of. Okay, so why does result of at C not seem to work nicely? Result of how to do it, and it's that's a boost.spirit. So again, we're in boost spirit here. Got a header which is that header now. So let's change up what we're doing again to use just that header. Let's stick a reference to that header in the parser as well. Hit run, and it's going to potentially fail the build. I clearly aren't reading the boost docs correctly, am I? Because we've got that, we've got an example there, vector of whatever, and assert at C, O1 of V, but we don't have a full proper. This is the thing, we don't seem to have full C++ examples of fusion vectors. So, if you uncomment, you get that. It's the filter if. And we're in C++ 17. Where's the at C being called in here? Fusion double colon. So is it in Fusion itself? Boost Fusion at C. Okay, that makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. And then we go auto value equals that one. Then we go results of stud string key.begin key.end yeah, is equal to that, which obviously means we need a reference to results at this point. We do need it as a reference because we are setting it. And then we don't need these value and key captures. We don't need that key either. And we're getting the whole thing there. I think this is a much nicer looking bit of code. I think this is much easier to work with potentially. Within here, I'm not too upset at the idea of using Boost Fusion. So I don't mind going using Boost Fusion Vector. Oh, I'm not going to use Boost Fusion Vector, but I will use Boost Fusion at C. The reason I don't want to use Boost Fusion Vector is I don't want to confuse the whole vector issue up. At this point, that slims down to just that. Let's instead go namespace fusion. Equals boost fusion. And then at that point we can at least do that, keep everything reasonable there. Okay, so we've got the key value pair parser working, I think. Let's fire this up and make sure. So Hubblebot is online. Give it a crack, says Blade Hop. And what we will do is, well, we ought to step through to there and let's grab the results actually. So let's run it to there. What do results equal? This was all from the other day. Results is size 14 map with badge info, badges, colour, Blade Hop as the display name. An ID, not a mod. Yep, and the raw view is that. And if I have a look at the attribute list, let's bring it up so we can all see it. Yeah, the things that are blank should be blank. Okay, I think that works.
Our community grows.
Thank you very much for your follow, NL Respect. So, let me just do a bit of tidying up because I keep forgetting the coding standards that we're using at the moment. And seeing as we've kind of agreed them the other day, I should learn to use them. Just because otherwise we're going to have inconsistent code again. So we've got those done, so we can get rid of this if zeroed code. Just before we do though, let's have a look at what we used to do. We used to have a vector of strings split on semicolons, for each thing split on the equals. So we're going through the string to split and then we're going through each vector and splitting. And now what we're doing is, as we parse things out, we're adding them. So we're only taking one pass through that string. I don't know which code looks nicer here, because we are now having to parse and exclude the equals, then go for the equals, then parse and exclude the semicolons. And then we're doing parser and parser. that's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm happy that we've got a way of calling an action on each key value pair. That's the big thing for me. It goes grab a key value pair, then call that action on it. That I like. So we are, after this experiment, we are going to stick with that. Which means I get to kill a load of code there. Hi Minxie Rose, how are you doing? Actually, Minxie Rose, glad you're here. Do me a favour. Once Hubblebot comes online, which I believe it will be now, just hit the horn for me, please, just to make sure that the horn still works. Because I've been playing with parsing tonight. So, might as well have you make some good use of you. That's worked, thank you, Minxie Rose. That is excellent to see. So, given that that's all working, I think, even though we haven't actually done the parsing that we wanted to do, this is a really good place to call it for this evening. Unfortunately, Minxie Rose, I think you're at the back end of the stream. I don't want to really go too much later. One thing that could be interesting before we do is I want to see if this can all be a single parser. If we can use this as part of a parser and parse out a message. That might not be doable necessarily, but we can certainly...
Our community grows.
Blade Hop, thank you very much for that follow. And thank you, Codebase Alpha. One thing we'll definitely be able to do, let's just write a bit of... What's it? Essentially, I want to be able to do something like, I don't know, Twitch message, parse message, take the hold that type, message. Now, obviously, Twitch message doesn't exist, so to stop the compiler moaning, we'll just create a struct.
Our community grows.
Thank you very much for the follow, Kubisus. Please tell me if I've pronounced that anywhere near correctly, or if I've really messed it up. But essentially, parse message will, you know, get the @ sign, parse the attributes, which is the whole attributes for stuff. Then go, that was fine, excellent. Anyway, how are you? Who are you? That was not the nicest way of putting it, was it? Tell me sort of how you found the place, if you will, please, or, you know, it's up to you if you want to. Or, you know, always feel free to chat. Always like to know everyone here with the community and whatever. Let me quickly go and in chat. Let me throw some social links in chat for everybody as well. Just because I see a couple of newer people here. But yeah, we're essentially going to go get the @ sign, parse the attributes, get the IRC command. So things like priv message, MSG, isn't it, or something like that. Get the username, the IRC command, message body. So things like that. Thank you very much, Kibisus. What? Yeah, as Minxie Rose has actually just asked, what are you working on? Anything of interest here? Right, let's have some thank yous because I haven't done them this year. Oh, wow, that's a list of thank yous. So, Clancy Cassican, Matthew D. Groves, Chief CLL, F. Hinkle, C. Payette, Codebase Alpha, Tyler Leonhardt, Brandon Satrum, Upgrading Dave, Sushi Codes, Kim Philpotts, Jitterted, Stoding, Viking Coder, Calvin Allen, Rambling Geek, Robert Tables, James Magno, Pixel Logic Dev, Lucky Number 7, I Am Not Myself, Dev Chatter, and C Sharp Fritz. Thank you all very, very much for your follows, for your hosts. Cubisus is writing an interpreter in Prolog. Nice! Blade Hop, what's a parser? I think the simplest way to explain it is we are passed a ruck of information from Twitch. So Twitch gives us, let's delete that lot. Whenever we get a message, whenever a message is passed in Twitch, can I get word wrap on in here? Is it even word? Yeah, Alt-Z, okay. We get passed that back from Twitch, which is a textual representation of the attributes that a user has up to there. Then the username a few times because of how IRC works. We get told that it's a message to chat. We get it's in this channel, and we get the body of the message. Now, that's a textual format, but I want to work with it in a struct or an object. And a parser is anything that can read text or read data and parse it into a different format. So, for instance, the bit that we've worked on tonight is this attribute list we pass through to the function attributes for. And what attributes for does is turns this into a dictionary of the key value pairs. So that's what we're doing, we're parsing it into a dictionary. So exactly as Cubisus says, a parser is just a program that can do lexical or syntactical analyses and convert text or some other sequence of data back into some abstract representation. So it's essentially transforming this string into a dictionary or a map. Good night, Codebase Alpha. Mincy Rose, we don't have that command at the moment. Hang on, let me just fire something up. Oh no, hang on. That must return a value. This was me messing around, so... Let's fire the bot up, and I will do... Yeah, I thought the bot would respond nicely once it's fired up. Ah, you're writing the parser for your interpreter at the moment, Cubisus. I've never done parsers in Prolog. I've barely played with Prolog in my life. What's it like? And do people recommend that I learn and stream some Prolog? Just because it's completely different to anything else that we've worked with. Good command. Actually, let's improve that command quickly. Where does it say bye for now? Until next time. There we are. We'll get something better. Let's say that now says TNT. Let's say goodbye again to Codebase Alpha. That's a better version of the command. The big thing I like about that command now is that if you're not a subscriber and you execute the TNT command, it uses the emotes anyway. So it's, if people aren't subscribers, they've still got some access to the emote. Cubisus, you need a username after it. The bot doesn't like saying until next time to nobody yet. maybe we ought to enable that at some point. But I mean, we are in incredibly early development here. Yeah. There we are, Kubisus. So, as you've just seen, it's used the emotes on your behalf. So, I always like it when people subscribe. I hate the fact that I can't say, you know what, Twitch, let my non-subscribers use emotes, please. Just something of interest. You know this bot that we've writing? I'd like to show something. 2 meg of RAM. We are still, even using boost and doing the parsing, we are still hovering around the 2 meg of RAM mark. And we can profile the bot. Hey! I mean, you can do that as well. It doesn't have to be a username. So now if I go break all and open details on here, select a range of time to analyze. Yeah, that'll do. Done. Called main. Main SCH, invoke main. So the regex search is the bulk of what we've done here. And attributes 4 is a lot less. Actually, that's a good point. That's taken just over a third of the time. That's taken nearly 2/3 for a regex search. So is parsing going to work out quicker than a regex search? I don't know. But that's something that could be really interesting. That is something that we will look at next time on stream. So I don't know why. Well, I do know why I stopped it, but hey, that was a bit daft of me. So let's stick that back over there. And part of the reason I'm sticking that there, I need to compile release, says Fuel Snable. You know what? That is actually true. And for as long as it's going to take to do it, let's do it. Let's have a look at the bot in release mode. So it is going to take a short while to compile because we don't have pre-compiled release headers, I think. Oh, we're running. So diagnostic tools again. Ooh, exception thrown. What's just moaned at me? We have an exception, people. I mean, let's just continue. Oh, this doesn't work in release mode. Null pointer. Where's my null? Why is that a null then? Why is that a list coming out as null? Okay. Don't want to know. You know what? Let's. In release mode, why is that coming out null? Is that the null that is that what is coming out as null? So if I were to say stuff a breakpoint there, can I breakpoint in release? I'm probably being an idiot here. At a parser is coming out as at a list, sorry, is optimized away and not available. Why am I not surprised? At a parser is unidentified. Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? Check the disassemble. Oh, no. No. Let's let it go bang. And then have we got a disassembly window somewhere? let's claim that we have. Well, we can get one. Disassembly. The disassembly holds the answer. If I knew what I was looking for in a disassembly window, that would help. I don't know what I'm looking at particularly, apart from I know that that statement looks like it's doing all these things. That move is moaning. So it's moving it into RDX, a keyword pointer from RCX. So let's grab a look at the registers. RAX not. Why is it bothering about RAX? If it's this line that's moaning, surely it'd be RCX. Let's have a look for registers. RCX is indeed null. Yeah, that's exactly it. RCX is null. So what RCX, where's that coming from? That's from R8 plus 8. What was R8? We're not getting all of the registers here, are we? We need the SSE, do we? No, it's not the SSE ones that we need. Floating point, no, it won't be floating point. It's the 64-bit ones, I think, the R8s. Oh, R8's there. So let's go to that address and see what that is. That's not anything that I recognise. Oh, hang on. So there's the end of Hubble there. I don't recognise this at all. Oh gosh, this is awkward. You're guessing RCX is usually the this pointer. Yeah, the Visual Studio debugger is brilliant, Cubisus. It's the one reason I do C++ on Windows rather than going. I like Linux, but unfortunately for me, I like Visual Studio more. It is fantastic. Well, let's have some fun. Let's go. Was that? Begin and end there. Auto end equals that. Oh no, Fuel Snable, now I want to do this. You've not realised what you've done there is nerd snipe to me. So let's see if either of these atalist.begins is where it's going wrong. Okay, it's not. And atalist is a MyPair, is an allocator. Okay, so same issue. Back into the disassembly. It's RCX is null again. And RCX is coming from RBP plus 32. RBP is that. So what's of interest there? Again, I don't see anything particularly interesting until we get to this Gareth Hubble bit here. So that's going to be the channel name, isn't it? The Gareth Hubble thing there. What we're getting here, though, looks completely... There's nothing there that I understand. I see a Gareth Hubble there. I see a double B, A double L there. I see Hubblebot there. Yeah, I see the exe file. I don't see anything around this part of memory that looks particularly interesting. So that's confusing. But again, if we run this in in debug mode, and I've literally just changed this back to debug mode for this run, and it's come out fine. What's gone on? Let me just double check that on all configurations, all platforms, I should have include files should be all there. Where's my include? Come on, I know where includes are. So that's all different options. Okay. So if we say release and x64, that is the boost root include path. Okay. What about under x64 there? Under x32, sorry. So that should now work under Win32. Let's try and build it in. Yeah, I'm with you there. Release mode 32-bit. Let's try release mode in 32-bit and see what happens. Yeah, because include files, that would fail to link, wouldn't it? And that should work. Fuel Snable, it'll be on GitHub at some point, I'm sure. Ooh, something's gone bang a bit deeper in, has it? Reverse fold impl, what's my stat trace for this? So under release mode 32-bit, we've got the same problem. It's going into parse here, and it's ending up there. State 1. So is it boost that's moaning at me? Computer's definitely saying no. Fuel Snable, I'll tell you what, let's chuck it on GitHub now. Let me stick the build back to release 64. Yeah, that conversion from UNT64 to socket, that's something that needs changing at some point. Looks like it's the parser code. Fuel Snable, just to let you know, you need your boost root directory in the include path for this to work. So you've just seen me do it anyway, so you know where I'm on about. And to make it work as well, I think we've actually got docs on the GitHub. Let me just commit this, because we do have an amount of success, even if it's a reasonably small amount at times. CPP Twitch soundbot. Let's stage. Let's stage that lot. That we can actually ignore. Ignore everything beneath build. Cool. And we'll stage that as well. And go updated to use boost spirit for parsing. Push that up there, and then if I go and grab you a link, Fuel Snable, github.com, hang on, I know what GitHub's like for certain things, so I do need to just make sure I'm not watched in. Yeah, the only thing that isn't in the README now is that we need hang on, let me just go back to it and grab the we need to state that you need the boost libraries installed. But there's the GitHub link. That is now all pushed up there, yeah, as of 38 seconds ago. Yeah, that's fine. That asset is absolutely allowed. I was just worried that I got the wrong thing up there. That's fine. It hasn't got any OAuth tokens. So you need to get your own OAuth token for your Snable, and you do need to replace instances of, well, that used to say Gareth Hubble, didn't it? Let me edit that. That's now Hubblebot. Also, make sure that you have boost root set. Let me just quickly throw that in as, yeah, update readme.md. That's fine. Cool. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea for your Snable. With that, I am going to try and find us someone to raid. If anyone has any ideas of someone that they would like us to raid under the usual rules, please do. I'm going to actually look straight away at the team, at the Live Coders team, just to see if anybody else is streaming. SudoKid is streaming. What is SudoKid streaming? SudoKid is streaming some Go web development, and InstaFluff is also streaming. Let's say we're going to go across to SudoKid's channel. So, everybody, I will be back on Tuesday night at about the same time. We'll carry on working on... Oh, yeah, the bot isn't running, so raid calls doesn't work. Let me fire the bot up again, just temporarily in debug mode. Minxie Rose, can we have a call for that raid call, please? We'll raid SudoKid. SudoKid is working on some... Yeah, there's your raid call. So, everyone who's going across, use those raid calls, please. We're going to go across there as well. And I will see everybody on Tuesday night for probably more F# work, and then we'll get onto the bot another time. Okay, thank you very much, and be great. Actually, I hadn't clicked trade yet, had I? Yeah, okay, I've clicked trade now. So I will see everybody next time on Tuesday night. Have fun. Let's enjoy. Let's do a raiding.